Hey, good afternoon and welcome to this week's installment of Mark and Mark in the Midday. And this week we've got a guest, someone who I remember watching pitch a lot when I was a kid living here in New York. But we've got Mr. Ron Davis, former Yankee, former Twin, and another closer to add to my buddy Country Mark Littell's list of guests and friends. So good afternoon. Actually, it's good morning for you, and welcome to the show, Mr. Ron Davis.
Ah, glad to be here. Nice to hear from y'all too, Mark and Mark.
Well, the good thing about Mark and Mark is this Mark knows Ron Davis pretty darn well, and what you got here, everybody is two rednecks, basically, and two guys we got about 3 to 5 IQ because we were set up and closer type guys for the most part of our career, and so they just kind of pointed us to the mound and said. When we're throwing good, we say, sit down and I win, and there you go. And that's Ron Davis because, Ron, I was looking at your stuff here, and I've known you for such a long time because Ron and I have coached against each other, not only played against each other professionally, but coached against each other in Phoenix because Ron has 4 teams still of youth teams, and so he's just spreading the word that way. We'll get into that a little bit later, but Ron, you came through you graduated or you came out of Glenn College, and then I noticed your first year was 78 with New York, so you came on real quick, from out of college ball, and you spent about a year in minors, and then all of a sudden you're in the big leagues in 78 with the Yankees, doing your thing.
Yeah, it was, I didn't realize, not knowing anything about the professional world, I just wanted to play baseball. I didn't care if it was in the big leagues or college or what, but when I got offered to sign, I said, shoot, I'll sign and go play more baseball. I never dreamed about being a big leaguer or I just dreamed about playing baseball. I didn't care what level.
And when you were in college, I'm going to say you probably started, right?
I was a starter in college, yes. I started just about every game that I pitched in college, and then in the minor leagues I started every game. It wasn't until my first time in the big leagues that I pitched in relief, and till this day I've never started a game in the big leagues.
That's what the stats do say.
Now, pretty darn interesting.
Well, see, I haven't retired. That's the only reason I'm not in the Hall of Fame.
Now, Ron,
I'm still, you have to be retired, I think, 5 or 6 years before you're eligible, and I haven't retired yet officially, so that's the only reason I'm not in the Hall of Fame.
That is correct. You have to officially put the papers in, and they have to certify them, and then you go on the waiting list.
Right.
Good point.
Hey, Ron, I'm a Brooklyn kid, so I remember those late 70s, early 80s Yankee teams, and the nickname the Bronx Zoo was obviously it came from a book that was written by Peter Gollenbach, but the nickname kind of applied to that era of teams. They call them the Bronx Zoo, kind of Yankees era teams. When you got there in 78, obviously you came up, you were there a little bit in July, right? And then you came back as a September call-up, and you got to see
Correct.
that Yankee team, which was 14 games behind, and the Red Sox looked like they were world beaters. All of a sudden, it flip-flopped in September, and by the end of the month, the Red Sox were now chasing the Yankees. You had a bird's-eye view of that. Could you give us an idea of, what was going on, how the confidence level was in that locker room, and how the Red Sox seemed to be imploding?
Well, I don't know if the Red Sox really imploded, but the Yankees and that, through Catfish, Hunter, Thurman, Munson, Reggie, all those guys, Greg Nettles and all those type guys, they never gave up to begin with. And plus, they are already in the World Series in 76, 77. So, this is going to be their 3rd year in a row. So they weren't like, hey, they're just going to play as hard as they can and see what happens. And I think, we went ahead of them with a few days left to go in the season. And then, we lost the last game of the season and they won. And then we had to have the 1-game playoff.
Yeah, and you guys played 700 ball from the All-Star break, and that's how you caught it. Basically, 700 ball is ludicrous ball. I mean, that means you're just hitting on all cylinders. And to your point, the pedigree was there, the World Series championships were there. But Tell us a little bit about some of those guys. Like, I mean, how important was the late great Thurman Munson to that locker room?
Well, he wasn't the captain for, you know, he was definitely, I mean, he wasn't the captain for nothing. That's what I was trying to say. He was, you know, all those guys, you know, Thurman Munson was unbelievable. You know, Catfish Hunter, Ron Guidry, Bucky Dent, Greg Devils, Willie Randolph. I don't think Bobby was there then. Lou Piniella. I mean, Oscar Gamble. We had so many characters that kept us loose on the buses and in the clubhouse. And then you had the leader, you know, everybody knew their place, so to speak. And so there was leaders on the field, there was leaders in the clubhouse, there was leaders in the bus going from stadium to stadium. So I mean, everybody had a job and they did it.
How about Cliff Johnson? Was he with that team, Ron?
Mm-hmm.
Cliff was with for sure, not the 70. He was a little bit, but they traded him to Cleveland.
Oh, because he and Goggins kind of got into it, right?
Yeah, I can't remember if that was the 78 or 79 season that him and Cliff had a fight in the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, he must have been a corker. There's a lot of Cliff stories going around. I know that.
I know what the organization definitely wasn't a Cliff fan. Cliff was a Texas boy like myself. I liked him, but you know, people didn't like his attitude as lazy. You know, they thought he was lazy and this and that. But hey, the guy was one heck of a pitch hitter, and he could do his job. And that's what I'm saying. Everybody knew their job on the team. And yeah, were there a bunch of fights in the clubhouse? It seemed like, you know, somebody was, you know, pushing or shoving or swinging at somebody about every day between George and Reggie and George and Billy. And, you know, I mean, but that's just the way it was. That's why it was called the Bronx Zoo.
Did that George dynamic affect you guys? Like, I remember the New York Post, the Daily News, the back pages were always filled with George comments about stuff that happened that, you know, on the field. Mostly when bad things happened, George was saying things about the team and putting players down or calling out managers and coaches. How did you guys react to that? I mean, did you just say it's just George being George, we're going to do our thing, or did people, you know, really take it to heart?
No one took it to heart for sure. George being George is correct, but that was kind of like a release valve when, you know, my 5 years that I was there, because they would George and Billy or George would say all these crazy things in the paper, and it would leave us, the press would leave us alone with, hey, I'd screw up a lead or give up a game-winning home run or walk a guy in or something. Well, that wasn't in the paper the next day. It was always George doing this and Reggie doing this and Billy doing it. So it took a lot of pressure off of us. Those guys, they might not have thought they were doing that in that process, but that's really what was happening.
So what you're saying to me is that it actually had a positive effect on the clubhouse, because you guys went under the radar and got to just do your job, and those guys were the lightning rods.
Right. You never heard about us, hey, winning this, the greatest comeback in baseball history. That's what it says on my World Series ring. It's carved underneath, the greatest comeback in baseball history. I mean, you weren't hearing about any of that while we were doing it. You were still, you know, hearing about, hey, we should fire Billy. We did fire Billy. We're hiring Bob Lemon. You know, we're bringing this guy in, Reggie. Hey, let's pull Reggie out of right field and let's him and Billy have a fight together in the dugout against the Reds. I mean, so it was all this stuff. And that was always in the paper. If you go back to 1981, when we beat Oakland, who was the MVP of the American League Series then?
Tell us.
What?
Tell us.
Who was it?
Well, I know, because Reggie and that guy got in the fight that night. So it was Reggie and Nettles getting in the fight at a bar in Oakland when we were celebrating, instead of Nettles MVP of the American League Series. So I mean, you know, so the press always was writing about all the fights, not any. If we did good, it wasn't. If we did bad, there was nothing in there about us.
That's one thing about winning teams. That's one thing about winning teams. They do fight, you know, because in a lot of people, you know, you got
so much for the chemistry thing, right?
You know.
Pardon me?
When they talk about chemistry, so much for that. You don't have to have positive chemistry to win games. You just have to be great ball players who go out there and do your job, and you can battle if you want. Sounds to me.
Well, I don't have to like you to do my job. But the key to that, I got to know what my job is. And back in those days, I knew I wasn't going to take Gossag's job. Hey, I was going to be there. So I'm just happy as heck to be there. Kenny Clay knew he wasn't going to take Goose's job. So everybody had their role, and they played their role. And it's when people don't know the roles is when they start getting it. That's when the trouble in the clubhouse, not the pushing and shoving, but the looks, and I wish I could do. I should be leading off, or I should be batting third, or I should be playing right field. Well, those are what destroys the clubhouse right there.
Gotcha. And it's like, to me, I think that culture might have come from all of the guys who came over from Oakland, because like Catfish and Reggie came from that Oakland clubhouse, which was completely dysfunctional. Those guys fought all the time. And newsflash, they won 3 straight world championships, so it didn't affect them.
Right. Hey, as long as people know their job, they don't care. Hey, as long as my neighbor keeps his yard clean, I don't have to whoop his butt.
There you go. Well, let's talk about jobs, because when you really solidified your role with the Yankees in '79, you became what was like, I would think, was the first official setup man. No one ever really talked about that role, but you'd throw 2 or 3 innings, and then Gossage would come in, so to speak, afterward, and you had an off-the-charts season in '79. Talk a little bit about that, because I think everybody who listens to the show knows about the season and wants to hear about it from you.
Well, I don't think I had I ended up being a vulture and getting 14 wins, but all in relief. But I came in there and did my job. Goose was hurt, and so you got to remember, that's when Goose broke his thumb. So I pitched without Goose there for about 2.5 months there.
Right.
And then he came back into August and finished up the season as a closer. But yes, I got lucky to get some wins and some saves in that year, and had a pretty decent ERA that year. But the thing about it is, people go, how can you get 14 wins as a reliever? Well, you came in the 6th. You came into the 7th. You might be down 1 or 2 runs. You might be, you got lucky to get more saves, more wins, in that area. No relievers won't hardly get 14 wins anymore, because they're all coming in when they got the lead.
I got to respectfully disagree with you on this one. Mr. Davis, I got to respectfully disagree with you on this one, because you were not a vulture. What you did is you held down the fort, and the cavalry came and scored the runs, but you didn't give up the runs to let the lead against you get worse. So you weren't a vulture. You earned those wins, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you. I honestly knew I did, but that was the newspaper's headline. The vulture does it again.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that in my backyard.
But see, that's fun.
I got to tell you this, because in my backyard we played stickball. We used to debate. We used to talk about it and say, you know what, the Goose is out, and Davis is having a great season. Maybe they could trade Goose, because this guy's the real deal. That's the kind of debates us kids used to have while we were playing ball and just messing around. So we knew you earned it. Well,
I appreciate that. Yeah, all the guys that played in the big leagues earned it, it's not like today you only pitch 1 inning, and so if you blow a lead, then I understand it, because I don't know if I ever came in the game without anybody on base. I can't remember it hardly. No, I don't. But I don't think anybody comes in relief now with people on base hardly.
Hey, Ronnie, Mark's only on the slide. He used to use your card and he spoke, so I'm just telling you that.
Well, hell yeah, I did. I still got. I got them in my. I'm using them now too in my bicycle. If you run short of Ron Davis cards, I got a bunch.
You got a bunch, don't you?
I might be the only one that has them.
Hey, real quick, I got to tell something about Ron, because we had Luke Klimchak on 2 or 3 weeks ago, and look, Ron knows this, I know this, and Mark knows this too, but the world knows. Luke Klimchak is one of the best guys in the world, and he's with the alumni, and Ron Davis is a big part of the Arizona alumni as well. and you're still going after that, Ron, because I've been on a few trips with you on the res, and I know you went up on the res this year, and I couldn't make it, and I love going up there and helping out, and that's fun. But
we have,
your life.
Yep. It is. Lou started Arizona Youth Baseball. Lou's probably, like you said, you had him there a couple of weeks ago. We call him the Dick Clark of baseball. He's he's like 90 years old, and he looks like he's 30. And the guy's just one of the greatest people around. And yes, he started Arizona Youth Baseball here, and we probably do about 25 clinics, free clinics, baseball clinics, that is, for all the kids. Like you said, on the reservation to just about anywhere in New Mexico and Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not the reservation. It's all different aspects. I just like mentioning the reservation because I like going up there to it. So
yeah, I mean it's to give back to the kids and they get out of school and we get them a hat and a glove and pizza and we give them about a 2.5, 3 hour free clinic and we're just trying to help the kids in other areas of the state that aren't as fortunate as the kids here in the, say, Scottsdale and Phoenix area. We get out there and promote the game of baseball and give back to the game of baseball. So it's a fun time. You've done it for many years. We've been doing this now pretty close to 17 years.
Yeah, and then Digger's part of that group always, and
yep, Kenny Phelps, and yep.
And then,
we have a blast. You know that, Mark.
Yeah, the one thing that I remember more than anything, and this man may not be alive, but he might have been the last code talker for the Marines when they alive on the Navajo reservation, and got a chance to meet him and had my picture taken with him, and would love to have that picture. Somebody took it, I remember, but boy, that was just neat to stand next to a Navajo code talker. I mean, that was just...
I know that. Well, I remember that, and that was unbelievable. It's just, I didn't even really know what it... they said, he's a code talker, and I didn't really think of it that much because I didn't have that much knowledge. I mean, I'm respectful and all that kind of stuff and talked to him, but until the movie came out, I was like, holy crud, the guy I was with was a hero. I didn't realize how big... I knew he was a hero, but I didn't realize how big a hero he was.
Yeah, that was just real special. That's just real special time, I thought. He was always roaming the schools as a grandfather figure, just walking around, and they still had their Navajo language center right there, so they won't lose the Navajo language. And
right.
Navajo helped.
I think about all the tribes are doing that, where they kind of like their heritage and things. So they're really working hard on trying to keep that going, and which they should.
Yes, they should as well. And tell us a little bit about Ike, because I remember when Ike signed, and he was a big dog hitter in ASU, and then he was a first round pick, and then went with the Mets, and now I know he's pitching now a little bit with the Dodgers, and he just
that's what I'm interested in.
With. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you because I know a lot of people have followed Ike quite a bit. So
well, Ike, he started off, like you said, you named all the ASU and the Mets, and he came up and did really well his freshman year, I should say, and then his sophomore year he was leading the team in home runs, RBIs, and average in 2011, I believe it was. And in Colorado, he ran into David Wright on top of the mound and shattered his ankle.
I remember that play.
Right.
And so, that was, I mean, it took almost, believe it or not, I'm not want to say anything bad about the Mets doctoring staff, but they're terrible.
I will say it though.
They were atrocious, and so they're wanting to do this, and they
ankle for too long and cut off his circulation.
No, they put it on for 2 months. That's what they said, and then after 2 months, they X-rayed and said the bones growing farther apart instead of closer together, and then. we took him out of the Met care and we took him down to North Carolina to a specialist down in North Carolina, and he looked at it and says, well, you know, like Catfish Hunter was, well, hell, they just booted it wrong. That's all. They had it going this way. It should have been going that way. And so,
oh my gosh.
bottom line is, and you know, it eventually got all healed up and things of that nature. And then, like I say, he missed all that year, and he came back and struggled at the beginning of his next year, and ended up hitting 32 home runs and 90 ribbies. And then the next year he gets injured again. He kind of like injured pulled. Then they sent him down to Arizona, and doggone it, in the middle of the summer he gets valley fever.
Oh,
so,
right.
I mean,
I forgot about that.
Yep.
I remember when you got valley
fever. So I mean, they've had, you know, not giving any excuses. You know, hey, you gotta stay healthy in the game. He just was unfortunate. Had some unlucky. He had some unlucky breaks with shattering his. He shattered his hip. Shattered his ankle. One, he got valley fever, and 2 years ago, he had 5.5 hour hip surgery, and they pulled out almost 3 ounces of shavings of bone spurs in his hip.
Holy cow!
So, and the doctor said, "Oh, we're going to go in and clean it out." It was outside some beautiful place in Colorado. The specialty guy there, and he said, "Yeah, we'll be out in about 2.5 hours." Well, 5.5 hours later, he came in and says he's never seen anything so bad. He said to be that bad, it had to be some kind of hip. He was like a small defect when he was born or something, and it just kept here. So I mean, for him not being able to hit anymore, you lose your ankle, you lose your hip, you get valley fever. He couldn't swing. He was out of breath all the time. Remember the boy that played for the Diamondbacks in Oakland? That got it. It ruined his career.
Oh yeah.
Also.
He was a first round pick. That was
right. He was like, holy cow, this guy's going to be a gangbuster, and all of a sudden, here in valley fever is sometimes it doesn't affect you, and sometimes it hurts people.
I got to see him this spring. I went down to Dodger training camp in Glendale, and I saw him he played against Team Japan. They come in for the WBC. So he played in the WBC and then went to Dodger camp, and now it looks like the Dodgers are converting him into a lefty reliever. Talk to us a little bit about that. I know he did close it. He was a closer at ASU, so he knows how to do that type of stuff, but to do it on the major league level would be amazing.
Well, I think it would be amazing. He always brags now. He says, Dad, not only did I hit better than you in the big leagues, I also have a better ERA than you do in the big leagues. So, he's pitched 2 innings in the big leagues and he's given up 1 hit. So, I mean, he came in and a strikeout. So he's come in when he was with Oakland. Oakland used him twice as a mop-up guy, and he did very well. He was throwing 91. He's throwing 91, 92. I think when he gets his arm in shape, he loses some upper body weight. Not that it's fat, just too much muscle for, swinging the bat muscle. Now I got to have different muscles to throw with. Mm-hmm. I think he'll flex it out and get it up to about 93, 94. And, he's always been able to throw strikes, so he don't walk nobody. And, he's, here in Arizona right now, he's pitched, I think 8 innings and given up 1 hit, struck out 14 guys, and hasn't given up a run yet. So he's definitely, going to give it a try.
And we might have a sleeper here, it looks like.
Pardon me?
Good. I'm sorry. So we might have a sleeper going on here. So.
I don't know about, I don't think he'll ever be a short man, but I definitely think he could be a left-hander guy coming out of the bullpen, throwing 92, 93. I've seen a bunch of ragtags out there doing it now, so I don't see why he couldn't be a ragtag.
there's no reason why he can't be the equal or better than a Jerry Blevins.
I mean, these guys out there throw. Hey, if you can go out and throw strikes, and my deal is, I think, we're talking about we've all talked about having the longevity. I mean, the game is so long now, I should say. Well, if you really wanted to shorten it up and make it a better game, you could have. I think you're going to have specialty guys like maybe coming through in the near future if he's not the first, is that a guy, hey, I can come off the bench and pitch hit. I can play first if you need me, and hey, guess what? I can throw you a couple innings every other day. So that way, a more valuable opponent for the manager.
I think San Diego has a guy like that too, who can pitch when they're short out of the bullpen, but he also can play as a utility player in the field.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That's going to be the new specialty guy in Major League Baseball. Because, geez, instead of having these 12 and 13 bullpens and having no backup, hey, I got a guy out there that can pitch. And plus, think of this in the National League. If I got, hey, you know what, my pitcher's coming up next, I got to go pull my starting right fielder. Well, I don't have to pull I just let him stay in the game and hit.
There you go. No double switch.
No double switch, so it makes my lineup stay stronger. So I think as soon as baseball gets a little brain power in there, they're going to feel like, hey, that's a pretty dang good idea.
Now,
that would be the good change in baseball
because there's been such a big change. Sorry?
Y'all were both talking. It was hard to hear.
Go ahead, Mark.
I said I think we're giving too much credit to the brain power of the people who run baseball.
Well, I don't think they have that much. I know they're Harvard and Yale people, but they don't have any baseball knowledge. They have numbers and cents and figures and things of that nature, but they don't really have the true heart of the game that they should have. Well, they should have both. They should be able to do both, but a lot of guys don't have that in them. So I think there's where the game has changed, is that, it's all about dollars and cents now and numbers and what your whip is and this and that. And, hey, let me get the guy out. Did I get him out? Okay. No matter how I got him out, but they have definitely a different strategy of the game today. That's for sure.
So let's talk about getting them out, which is, what a reliever has to do. So you go from being the preeminent setup guy with the Yankees to Minnesota, where you were in the Roy Smalley trade, where you get to Minnesota, and now you are the man. You are the closer. How does that mindset change? How is it different? How did it affect you?
Well, I didn't really have a different mindset because I've been doing it the whole time with the Yankees, and even though I had Goose there. But, hey, do you really have a different mindset pitching the 6th or the 8th or the 9th? I got to get the guys out, no matter what inning I'm pitching in. And guess what? They always talk about that kind of stuff. It's like they're not trying to hit the guy in the 7th, but they're trying to hit the guy in the 9th now. So, I mean, the bottom line, the hitters are trying as hard as they can in every inning, and the pitchers are trying as hard as they can in every inning. So there really ain't no difference. If I start the game in the first inning or I pitch the last out in the 9th, I still got to get the guy out, and that's the bottom line.
So it's got to be internal pressure that somebody's putting on themselves as a pitcher when you get to the 9th inning as opposed to the 8th inning. It's got to be mental.
That's all it is. I mean, tell me what's different. Is the strike zone different? Is the hitters trying harder? So the only pressure is you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more pressure of the game. If I give up 2 runs in the 8th, I lose the ball game. But if I give up 2 8s in the 9th, I lose the ball game.
Right.
So what inning does it matter when I screw it up?
About right.
So, so they always, the press, it's not the player, it's always the press. That always played, oh, well, he gave up, he blew the save or he gave up the run. Well, how about when I had first and second, got a ground ball to second base and he bobbles it and still can get 1 out but couldn't get 2 and you would have been out of the inning. Well, Hey, right there. Or how about the guy, with the runner on third with one out, and he don't get the runner in from third base. Those are all costing but they don't ever write about those. They only write about when I give up the run.
It's true. They also don't take into consideration that when you were with the Yankees, you were playing with a very talented team of guys behind you who were gamers who could get things done. They would turn chicken crap into chicken salad because they were just that good of a team, and you fit right in with that bunch. Then you get to Minnesota, and it's a younger team on its way up, but they're still making mistakes. They're not
a lot of mistakes.
I think that's different.
I blew 2 games in a row in Minnesota, and I've always contended that rule ought to be changed. Hey, I got 2 outs, a man on third base, and a ground ball to shortstop. He throws it over to Herbeck, and it breaks his glove. The ball broke a piece of leather in his glove, and it went through it. It's an error, but that's what? A blown save.
Yeah.
You're right.
By error. So I don't think relievers should. Hey, you know what? They get a blown save because there was an error. Or how about, as we all know, hey Mark, how many times did you come in relief with man on second and third and one out?
All the time.
All the time. Well, if it's a 3-2 ball game and the guy hits a routine fly ball to Lou Piniella that can't throw, well, that run scores. Well, that's a blown save.
All right.
So, there ought to be categories out there that say, hey, wait a minute, this is out under his control. Just not for me or you, but for the guys today. Say, hey, he didn't give that wasn't his fault. So he didn't blow it. So there should be another category instead of, because you judge relievers today only. You don't really even judge them by ERA. You blow it. All right, well, he was 33 out of 35. He was 35 out of 39. So they're just going by that percentage. But so that's why I said if that's how they're going to judge a reliever, they ought to say, hey, let's start changing the rule a little bit and what is considered a blown save.
Oh. But that's also judgmental too, because he's 33 out of 35. But how many of those 33 did he come in just in the 9th inning? No runners on, the team up by 3 runs in a very easy situation.
Oh yeah, he did it, but that's just part of the game. I agree with that, but that's all they judge it by is how many did he blow or he didn't blow. As long as if he came in there up by 3 and gave up 2, he didn't blow it either. So that's why the ERA is not that big important deal to me. I say it's about how many times did I do the job I came in to do. Hey, we won the ball game. That's what we came here to do.
I think that closer role really changed a lot in the late 80s when Eckersley became that 1-inning guy, and it's pretty much stayed the same since then. Back when you were playing, you threw 2 or 3 innings, and you always came in with guys on base. Matter of fact, they didn't call you guys closers; you were firemen because you had to put out the fire.
Right. But I don't think you get a specialty lefty that comes in with men on base nowadays, but there ain't nobody coming in with men on base anymore. Mm-mm. And so I think that's a lost art of that part of it. So,
it is.
I think,
about defined roles. They say, if a guy's not used in his normal role in the 8th inning and he's put in the 9th inning, well, he wasn't in his normal role and he complains about it. Could you imagine Billy Martin calling down to the bullpen and asking you to come in the 9th inning and you said, well, it's not really my normal role? What do you think how would Billy respond to that? I don't think favorably.
No, heck, you'd be sitting down in Columbus, Ohio, playing in AAA.
That's right.
Exactly right.
That's exactly right.
So, Ronnie, I got
I didn't mind. I didn't mind if I came in the first inning all the way to the 9th inning. So I pitched in. I pitched in probably. I looked it up one time. I pitched in from the first inning to the 12th inning. I came in the games. So I never pitched in a 13. But I remember sitting in Oakland puking my brains out on the mound in the first inning because that's where I was from. My mom brought me a gallon of milk and about 5 dozen chocolate chip cookies, and I'm sitting in there eating about 2 dozen cookies and a gallon of milk, and I'm thinking, well, it's right after All-Star break, it's 107 in Dallas. I figured, well, I'll let this milk and cookies digest for about 5 or 6 innings, which is about an hour and a half. Well, Tom Underwood couldn't get out of the first inning. Billy called up and said, hey, get Ron up. So I was pitching in the first inning. I bet I puked 10 times on that mound that day, all milk and cookies. But I mean, that's just part of the game. You never know when you're going to get out there. And I learned my lesson right then. It's like, I thought I had established I was pitching, the 6th, 7th, 8th innings, and Goose would be 8 and 9, but not with Billy. Billy didn't care what inning it was. Hey, I need somebody out now. I want to win today, not tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't shit your pants, Ron. That's a good one.
Well, people. Well, we've done that too, Mark.
Oh yeah.
Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord for great pants on the road.
You bet you on that one. Hey, I got a good question for you. At the end, you were with the Dodgers and the Giants, but I'm going to tell you, because I know what my answer is. It doesn't matter. Everybody's is different. When did you know your arm had just gone south and everything had gone south?
My arm has never hurt me any.
Okay.
And I wish it had. I wish I had a double zipper on it, and I could tell people, well, I was, look what happened to me. I got, I was pretty good, and then I had injuries. Well, I was unfortunate. I didn't have any injuries. I just got bad. I just couldn't get nobody out anymore. And so I can't tell you why or what happened. The only thing, getting, my age today is like, you know what? I had some out and games out. I mean, some years I pitched 125, 130 innings. And as we know, if I pitched 125, 130 innings in a season as a reliever, you pitched another 125, 130 innings in the bullpen before you got out there.
Yeah, they didn't know how to use it at all. And they'd give you kind of a dry hump sometimes. You might get up 2-3 times. And,
Well, that's what I'm saying. We probably pitched just as much in the bullpen as we did on the mound because we didn't know if we were coming in the game. So I just think, like I say, my arm never had an injury. I think it just wore out. It just didn't have the same zip in it, the same pizzazz, and I wasn't taking steroids. So, if I think the hitters at the end of my career, I know, dang it, I screwed up. If I'd have realized, well, I wish I wouldn't. I love playing baseball. And hell, I don't mind those guys that were doing it. I just wish I was doing it. That's what.
Years like Clemens.
Exactly. See, I could be retired by now. Hey, I don't mind those guys. Hey, Major League Baseball said it was okay to cheat. Steroids were not illegal to use in baseball. So the guys did what? They took advantage of it and used everything that they could.
I'll make a point.
So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take advantage of it? Huh?
Tell me if you agree with this. The pitchers were using it just as much as the batters, so that's an equal playing field, isn't it?
I don't know if they were using it as much as the batters, but they had the opportunity to use it.
Yeah, that's right.
Roger Clemens, really? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean, every major leaguer had the same information, the same knowledge. They knew what was going on. I was part of what did they call those, Mark? I was a player rep for the Minnesota Twins for 5 years. I mean, the FBI would come in and the meetings we had in Hawaii and says, you had this many guys taking steroids. You got this many guys doing drugs. We've done tests. We spied them on this radio. I mean, conversations that we've, recorded and done this, buying it. So, and they gave all this stuff to Major League Baseball. They knew everything was going. I came back and reported to all my guys what was going on. So everybody there knew what was going on. They did, and Major League Baseball said, go ahead, keep doing it. It's putting fans in the stands.
Yeah, right. The other thing, too, real quick, is that they've got two people in each city that do nothing but watch baseball players. That's what their job is, you know, with the Players Association, with the owners, whoever. But there's these two guys out there that do nothing but, you know, follow around, and they're trying to keep the game, quote unquote, clean, you know, and stuff like that. So that's what they, that's how tight they are.
Well, I mean, my deal is, one of my best friends is Goose Gossage, and I disagree with him totally on this one thing and probably many other things, but this one for sure. You know, he's always ripping the guys that did steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think steroids got me out of the game, because instead of me going out there and getting having 2 men on base with 2 outs, and me giving up a fly ball to center field that went to the warning track, oh, I got out of the inning. Great. Well, the guy hitting the steroids, it went over the fence this time. So my ERA got worse. And so I think steroids in that area, you know, I think the ERAs, instead of being a 3, now went to 5s, and people were okay with 5 ERAs instead of 3 ERAs. So steroids got a lot of guys out of the game with just giving up more runs than they should have been given normally. But my deal is with Goose is, he goes, oh, well, you know, these cheaters. Well, how about all the games, Mark? And you don't have to say if you did or didn't, but how many guys did you know taking greenies every day to play?
That's a joke. That's funny. That's a good
Well,
one.
that's amazing.
Right.
How many guys? Now, today you would be suspended for taking what? A steroid. And if you were caught taking a greenie, you would be suspended. So both are cheating. And so the guys in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s were doing greenies uppers left and right, going out of style. And then the guys in the 90s were doing steroids. So, I mean, what's the difference?
I always wondered why your little league youth teams always kicked the shit out of my teams.
Oh, hell yeah, I had them high every game. Hell, I had them on my steroid program. We're close to Mexico. We go down there once a week. Get shot with butt. Go get them, kid.
Now I know.
Oh, wait. Now I know why you guys are going to the reservation so much.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a different country. It's legal there.
Well,
It's legal there. It's free.
You get a little peyote going there and bring it back, you know. They start doing the turtle and rain dances out there, you know. So.
Oh, boy. Well,
yeah, people don't realize, you know, that cheating is cheating, and Goose is, and yeah, it just aggravates me every time I hear him talk about the cheaters and steroids. You know, the only cheater in baseball has been the boy for Philly, and he's right where he belongs, not in the Hall of Fame.
We have a lot of discussions on that one. We can go on for days on that subject.
I can't go on to days. The man ought to have been shot for cheating like that. So I mean, they should have put him out of his misery for cheating. You know, Peter. And hey, and you know yourself, Mark, how many days did you walk into a minor league clubhouse? How many days did you walk into a major league clubhouse, Mark?
Oh yeah, a little bit more.
How many times? No, think about all the year, every day that you signed your first contract, Mark.
Right.
Back in what? 70 what?
71. 71.
71. So all your minor league days, all your spring training days, all your big league days, what was the only rule written on the door of every clubhouse that you walked into?
No gambling.
Do not gamble on baseball. Hey, you can shoot 3 guys. You can do this. You can rob a store. It's okay. But if you get caught gambling on baseball, you're going to be kicked out of the game for life.
Well, you know they used to.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, they had those guys.
Well, that's the only rule. That's the what? I didn't hear you.
They had the mafia guys come in and talk to all the teams. I remember they had guards on them, and they said, "Yeah, we'll get you. We'll get you." Matter of fact, I actually turned a guy in. I've never said that to too many people until right now. On my very first year when I was 20 in Detroit, and that was really amazing what happened. I reported it immediately because I was just totally scared shitless when that happened.
Well, hell yeah. When that's the only rule that's on the door, they didn't put the rule book or read the rule book or even hand you a rule book. They said, this is the rule, and today it's the only rule posted on the door.
Yeah, you walk in and see that in every clubhouse. minor league and
every clubhouse.
Right.
So, I mean, minor leagues, major leagues, do not bet on the game. So Pete knew what he was doing. So I got no hard feelings. Pete is where he belongs. He got what he deserved. But the guys that did steroids, Major League Baseball wanted them to.
I do know that.
I agree. And then you know what? The guy who just got enshrined in Cooperstown this summer, Mr. Bud Selig, he was the guy overlooking everything as it was happening. And you know what? If he gets in the Hall of Fame, I think all the players during that era deserve to get the shot to get in as well. That's my opinion.
Oh, without a doubt, because, I mean, like I said, I was a player rep. And for 5 years with Minnesota, and we had their winter meetings, and every year they brought in FBI agents telling them about how many cocaine deals are going down, how many guys are buying steroids and using them, and all that information was passed not only to us as players and the players union, but to the owners. So, I mean, heck, they wanted it. They enjoyed it. Hey, gosh, imagine what McGuire and Sosa did for the game.
Saved the game.
Oh, gosh. Hey, you know, that was like no other. But guess what? Those are so big as steroid freaks that there ever was. The Bash brothers, what, you know, if they wanted to catch the guys, why didn't they call in the trainers to Washington?
Because you know the answer. They didn't want to catch him.
I know, because Barry Weinberg with Oakland was sticking McGuire and Sosa every day when he needed to be stuck.
It wasn't a big deal until Congress threatened to take the antitrust away from baseball, and then they got serious. That's what the difference was.
Right, and then the owner said, "Oh well, this ain't happening, so
we got to clean it up."
All right, so let's clean it up, boys. Y'all doing something bad.
But let's clean it up. Let's put the guy in charge of cleaning up the guy who was letting it happen right under his watch.
Right. Take all these guys down. Let's go back and let's go back and get how about Whitey Ford. He had a ring in his thing. He showed me his ring at a fantasy camp. How he cut the ball through his glove. He still had the same glove. He had a ring that he would scratch the ball. That way he could make his ball sink and sail. I mean, I had Gaylord Perry on my team. He showed me where he put all the stuff. Holy cow! All these guys that played back in the day, they were trying to win, and yeah, were they doing a little cheating? But they're all in the Hall of Fame.
That's true. Did you ever hear the story about what happened once they figured out what Whitey was doing with cutting it? How he was cut the ball after they figured out the whole ring thing?
Well, Yogi told me he got a file and did his shin guards, and he would just scratch it on his shin guards when he threw it back to the pitcher. That's
exactly right. Yogi and Elston Howard would scratch it on their shin guards and throw it back to him.
Right. Yeah, they would show him, I had both of them. I named my son after Elston Howard. So I knew all those guys were unbelievable. There was, like I say, there is, how many guys would have managers like we had with the Yankees today? We got guys that never even put a jockstrap on out there that are coaching. But we're having Yogi and Billy and Elston Howard and all these great guys being our coach and giving us the experience of their knowledge and all the experience and knowledge that they had playing the game. Ain't nobody got that today.
No, they don't. I got to ask you, mystique and aura. When a guy puts on the pinstripes, is there just something about it that can make the ordinary guy that much better and the great guy an immortal? Or do you add into the fact, like you just said, you had those guys helping you out too, like the Whiteys and Yogis coaching you?
Well, I think you could say that until 2009. But from 2009, you can't say that.
When they moved across the street?
Right. That ain't Yankee Stadium. That's the Taj Mahal.
That's not. I don't call it Yankee Stadium. I don't call it Yankee Stadium. I call it a mall with a ball field.
Yeah, I call it the Taj Mahal. Holy crap. That's not Yankee. Hey, Ruth never played there.
That's right.
DiMaggio, all the chemistry and the history of the game was over there. That field's got nothing.
But up to 2009, do you truly believe it? Do you believe that Mystique and Aura really it played a lot into
disappeared. It disappeared.
Gotcha. Well, guys,
it disappeared. Yankees.
I gotta wind this one up, and I hate to because this has been one of the best ones we've had. Yeah, but I've got to go, and I know everyone else does. So I'm going to throw it to the closer right now. And since I have two closers, I'm going to go with the one in the KC uniform.
Hey,
that's my boy.
Ronnie, here's how it goes. You throw peas at the knees, no pies in the eyes, no wall balls, and you'll be just fine. So thanks, Ron, for coming on. We enjoyed it thoroughly.
Well, thanks for having me. Y'all have a great day, boys.
You got it.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Ron.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.